Yeah. What's up? We are back with our week 3 or our third stint of bracketology here. We had a lot of fun filming the last two,
Yeah.
and it just keeps on changing every single time. So this one is probably going to be our most interesting one yet, I would assume. So
Yeah, I
without
agree.
further ado, let's get into it, man. So the one seeds obviously shifted a lot over this week. You had Arizona losing. You had Houston jumping up. You had Duke beating Clemson. So, but in my opinion, the top overall seed so far is still Michigan. I think Michigan is clearly the best team at the moment. They obviously kicked the crap out of UCLA, and I mean, they're still beating every single team by 30 points. They are the unanimous number one team in the poll at the moment, both coaches and regular poll. So Michigan is my number one here. For my number 1, 2, I'm gonna actually keep an order here. I like Houston. Houston. I don't know when the last time they lost the game was, but it's been forever. So Houston obviously has some great guards. They got Joseph Tugler, and we'll see what they do against Iowa State tonight. But I love Michigan, man. I really do. Or not Houston. And so moving on, my 1, 3. Now this is where it gets a little interesting, but I'm gonna say it's actually Duke. Duke was debatably a 2 seed last time we talked about them week 4
Yeah.
after it lost to
Yep.
UNC, but they bounced back against Clemson. They got a good one against Clemson, and they are still really good at every single category. So they're clearly the best team in the ACC. It's not even up for debate. So Duke, for now, is a 1 seed, and then that leaves you with kind of a really tough choice right now for the last 1 seed. Obviously, Arizona lost to Texas Tech. Obviously, Iowa State's been playing really good, and then you got UConn, who I'm still not a big fan of UConn, but I still got to give them credit, I guess. So I'm gonna say this may be a shocker, but I'm gonna say Arizona is still a 1 seed at this
Okay.
time. They lost, obviously, they lost to Kansas, obviously lost to Texas Tech, but they were in control against Texas Tech the whole entire game. And I mean, it's really tough to beat Big 12 these Big 12 teams. You can't really be perfect in such a great conference of like 5 teams in the top 10. And I think Arizona beat Texas Tech already, don't once, if
I
I'm
think they did
mistaken.
too.
So
Yeah.
Arizona is still a 1 seed. I still love them. They got some great guys on the court. So it's just unfortunate, but I mean, it's not even a bad loss either. They lost by what, 2 points? Texas
Yeah, it
Tech.
was it
So
was a close game. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. My 1 seed, I'm gonna agree with you. My top seed is Michigan. Michigan has showed no signs of slowing down since they lost to Wisconsin. They've just been, like you said, giving belt to everybody that they've played. So I really like what Michigan's doing right now. Obviously, we'll see what they can do come tournament time, Big Ten tournament as well. But that'll be really interesting to see. Moving on to my next 1 seed, I actually have UConn as my
mm,
number 2 1 seed because they've been consistent as of late. They're not losing games except the game that they lost against St. John's, which is the best 2 teams in the conference. So you're probably bound to split with that, I guess. They did have a close game against Georgetown on Saturday, which is a little bit concerning, but I think they're going to continue to roll here. I mean, the rest of their schedule is pretty easy, except they got a game against Nova and St. John's in a couple of weeks.
yeah.
So I'm
Both
interested to
those
see
teams are
how,
really good.
yeah, I'm interested to see how they can continue to go on with that. Now, my next 1 seed is going to be Duke for all the same reasons that you did, for all the same reasons that you said. They're clearly the best team in the ACC. And if they somehow don't win the ACC, then that'll be extremely surprising. But I have as my last 1 seed, I have Houston because they have been playing extremely well and they are showing no signs of slowing down either. Uh, when was the last time that they lost? Here, let me look.
To Tech, they lost to
Was
Texas
it to
Tech like
Tech?
It was like a month ago. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So they haven't lost in a month. So they're playing really good. Uh, Obviously, they got a big game tonight against Iowa State. I think that game is super important, super duper important because that can impact a lot of the seeding that'll be coming up soon. So I have Houston as my last number one seed.
All right. Now let's get into our two seeds. The one seeds, I mean, we're pretty straightforward, but the two seeds, this is where it gets really interesting. So
Yeah,
to start it off, I'm picking Iowa State. Iowa State, as we know, lost to TCU, but TCU, in my opinion, is the most underrated team in college basketball. They are really good. I mean, they're up there with Wisconsin, like TCU. It's really good, even though they don't have the record necessarily. But nevertheless, Iowa State, they did beat Kansas. And so I think it's really fair that they stay at 5 on the or 6 on the AP poll. They only dropped one. And so I think they're a 2 seed. I think they're locked for a 2 seed. Honestly, I don't know how they're going to catch Houston or Arizona. And so obviously Milan Musovic has been playing out of his mind lately. Joshua Jefferson's been playing all right. I mean, this team is obviously one of the best in college basketball. I mean, it's clear that the Big 12 runs this year of college basketball. Simple as that.
yeah,
So moving on, I'm gonna say Kansas, man. I really like Kansas. Obviously, they lost to Iowa State, but Iowa State is like a top 6, top 5 team in the country. They obviously beat Arizona a couple weeks ago. Kansas has been one of the biggest turnarounds I've seen in college basketball this year. They're really good. I mean, when they have Darren Peterson on the court, I don't know if I don't know if they can lose. Honestly, I mean they lost Iowa State, but they're really good, to say the least. So Kansas, I like them a lot. I think it's fair that they're a 2 seed. They're 8 on the AP poll. So moving on to my third 2 seed. This is where it gets interesting, man. But I'm gonna have to say UConn. Obviously, I'm not as high as UConn as you did. They obviously barely squeaked one out to Georgetown, but I think these games against Villanova and St. John's are going to be a big test of who they are. I really do. I think
yeah.
that if they lose both these games, which I could very realistically see them losing both these games, I might have to drop them down to like a 4 seed, bro. But I
Hmm.
don't know where I'm at with UConn. UConn's very weird. They haven't played anybody good, and when they played St. John's, they kind of got belted. So, but they got a lot of talent on their team. They got Terrace Reed. They got Solo Ball. So they got Dan Hurley, who's probably the best coach in the game. So that's that. And so that brings me to my last 2 seed. Now this has got to be a Big Ten team. And there's like 4 different teams who are in this clump in Purdue, Nebraska, Illinois, and Michigan or Michigan State. I don't know. It's so weird to compare these Big Ten
Yeah,
teams because
because they've
like
all practically beaten each other.
they've all beaten each other. They all have really good offense or really good offenses and really bad defenses and vice versa. They're all only good at one thing specifically. I'm gonna have to say Illinois. I think that
Okay.
Nebraska, they've just been really weird. I'm not gonna lie. They've kind of blown all their big games as of lately. Purdue, I I'm not high on Purdue at all. The defense has been playing better, but I just can't see a world where Purdue is just up there, if I'm being honest. And Illinois, obviously, they beat Nebraska. They lost to Michigan State, but I think it's fitting that they stay where they're at as a 2 seed, kind of around there. They're 10 in the AP poll right now. Keaton Wagler is probably the best freshman in the country, one of the freshman guard in the country at least. And so, yeah, I think Illinois is the second best team in the Big Ten at the moment. Um, which could be a hot take or not, but I don't know. I just think they're best, second best team.
Okay.
All right,
All right. My top two seed is going to go to Arizona. Obviously, I had them drop. Losing 2 games in a row is obviously not ideal, but I still think they're one of the best teams in the country. They're just having a little bit of a spill, which is okay. You would rather have a spill right now and not play at your best right now than in the first couple weeks of March because that is terrible. So I think they're still a really good team. Definitely still think they're one of the few teams that can win a national championship. Um, but yeah, I have them as my top 2 seed. Moving on to my second 2 seed is another Big 12 team. I have Iowa State. They are a really good team, and I think if they can win this game tonight against Houston, then they got another game on Saturday against BYU, and then in 2 weeks they're playing Texas Tech. Now, if they can win all three of those games, that's a valid case for a 1 seed to me. Uh, but they got to do it obviously. But I think Iowa State's a really good team, really under the radar team that no one's talking about as much. They're 22-3, which is really good. So yeah, I have Iowa State as my next 2 seed. Now going to my third 2 seed, I'm going to take a turn of direction here, and I'm going to say Florida. Florida's been playing really well as of lately. Uh, I know they don't have the best record in the country by any means, but they're winning games. They're winning the games that they need to win. They're in full control right now of the SEC, and the SEC is kind of just a joke, and they're taking advantage of it. They're the best team by a game or two ahead of Arkansas and Vandy, um, and then everyone else is just kind of mid. So I think Florida's a really good team. They obviously had a rocky start to start the year, but I definitely still think they're a really good team. And now for my last 2 seed, I'm going to do the same thing you did. I have a Big Ten team, except it's not Illinois. It's Purdue. Purdue took down Nebraska on the road, which was a really hard thing to do. And they blew out Iowa on Saturday by like 20. And Iowa is a pretty underrated team, in my opinion. Which they have a big game against Nebraska tomorrow. But Purdue's offense is just clicking on all cylinders, and this is where you want to be at right now. They jumped 6 spots in the polls today, which is really good. And I think they're going to continue to keep balling out. They kind of had a rough spell there, but I think they're bouncing back. Let me see. Do they have any big games coming up here? Uh, yep, their next game is tomorrow against Michigan. So I guess we'll see how good Purdue really is tomorrow. They're at home against the number one team in the country. We'll see how that goes. So those are my 2 seeds.
All right. We're already kind of all over the place here already.
Yeah.
So, all right. So moving on to my first 3 seed. This also may be a hot take considering they are 13 right now in the AP poll. That's the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Obviously, obviously they beat Arizona, but they've also beaten BYU in Houston in the past month. They've won their last 3 games in a row. They have
Yeah.
probably one of the best pure scorers in the country in JT Toppin. JT Toppin's
He's a
really
dog,
good.
dude. Yeah.
Anderson for them has been playing really good for point guard, one of the most underrated guards in the league. Like he's been averaging like 8 assists a game. Christian Anderson's really good. So I think it's fitting that they get a really big boost considering they beat the number one team in the country. I mean, as of week 15 AP poll. So Texas Tech, really good. I could see them winning a national championship. I could see any of these Big 12 teams winning it.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're just that good. So moving on to my second 3 seed, I got the Florida Gators. Similar to what you said, they don't have the best record. They have 6 losses already, but they've won like their past 5 games in a row. They've beaten Alabama. They've beaten Kentucky. This team is absolutely rolling the SEC right now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do if their guards can play good. Xavier Lee and
Yeah.
Boogie Bland. But Thomas Hawk and Alex Condon are probably the best front court duo in college basketball. So they're just really good. So it'll be interesting to see where they see them come tournament time, considering their bad out of conference
Yeah.
record. But when it comes to in conference, Florida has been very efficient. So that leads me to my third 3 seed, which I'll mention Purdue, man. Obviously, they've been up and down to say the least. They play Michigan tomorrow, so that'll determine if they're actually good or not, in my opinion. But they have the best offense in the country, probably one of them at least. I mean, their defense has been playing better. I just don't know where really how to rank Purdue. They seem to either embarrass or really exceed my expectations every single week. So they're just a really weird team to
Yeah.
rank. They're just they're all over the place too. They get blown out a lot. They play really close a lot. Like you don't know what you're going to get from Purdue. Obviously, they beat Iowa by like 20 points, which is good. But I'm not a really big fan of Iowa, if I'm being honest. So we'll see how good they are for Michigan. But I mean, they're seventh in the AP poll, so I have to rank them as a top 3 seed at the moment. So that leads me to my last 3 seed. Now, there's like 5 teams you could say here,
Yeah.
but I I really don't know where to go here. This is really interesting. I'll go ahead and say Gonzaga. Obviously, Gonzaga had a really disgusting loss to Portland like a week or
Yeah.
two ago, but ever since then, they've been playing really good. They've been beating all the teams they've supposed to. They're 25-2. They've only lost 2 games. So Gonzaga is still really good, in my opinion. I mean, they obviously have a really good rebounding team with Graham Icky and Braden Huff. Like those guys are the second best front court in college basketball, in my opinion. So this is another really weird team, in my opinion. I guess it's fair to rank them 11th in the AP poll right now, but I'm still kind of how do I say this? I don't really have trust in them after that loss to Portland State still, even though I was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that.
All right. My top 3 seed, I'm agreeing with you here. Give me Texas Tech. I can definitely see them winning a natty. I definitely think they can move up as well in the polls. 19-6. Same thing with Florida. They don't have a great the best record in the world, but that is really deceiving. They're a very, very good team to look at. Obviously, they beat Arizona the other day, which is always impressive, and you can beat the number one team in the country. Now, my next 3 seed is going to go to Illinois. Illinois is a weird team because they beat uh, they they beat Nebraska and then they beat Northwestern by 40, and then they lost 2 games in a row in overtime. They lost to Michigan State and Wisconsin, and then yesterday they beat Indiana by 20. So they're a really weird team to me. Now they had two two games that they probably should win, and then they have Michigan in about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So really interested to see how they can fare against Michigan. But I think they're an interesting team to look at. Their offense is really really good, and I think they're going to be a really dangerous team come March. So my next 3 seed is going to go to Kansas. They obviously had a rough loss against Iowa State, but by no means are they a bad team. They're ranked 8 right now. Uh, they beat Arizona at home without Darren Peterson. They beat Texas Tech on the road uh, just in the last couple of weeks. So I'm impressed by Kansas. I definitely think they can keep moving up. They don't they don't have the hardest schedule coming up, but I definitely think that they can definitely make some noise as well. Now, I don't know in my last 3 seed, I don't know if this is just bias or not, but I have Nebraska as my last 3 seed. They had a rough loss against Purdue. They got out rebounded by like 11, uh, especially on we let up offensive rebounds, which was absolutely disgusting. But we had a good rebound win yesterday or 2 days ago against Northwestern, beat them by 19, and big game against Iowa tomorrow. But Nebraska, the rest of their schedule, they should win out. Technically, they should win out because they got a team who's kind of fallen off a cliff right now in Iowa. You got a team like Penn State who's not very good. Team in Maryland who's not very good. Team in USC who's kind of a weird team, and then you got UCLA, who's kind of a weird team, and then Iowa again. So I think Nebraska should win out. Obviously, it's Nebraska, so we'll see about that. But the offense has got to pick up the pace, or else they're going to be dropping for sure. And that's the last thing I want to do. But those are my three seeds.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the 4 seeds. This is where the
This is where the real McCoy starts.
yeah, and this is where the gap really widens, in my opinion. And this is kind of a lot of bias for a lot of these teams because a lot of these teams have been really inconsistent. So you can really rank them how you want to, honestly. So
Yeah.
my first 4 seed is going to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has won 5 out of their last 6 games, and they only lost to Oklahoma by 1 point. I mean, teams are bound to lose no matter what happens, so I'm not really going to knock them by losing 1 point to Oklahoma. Tanner Tyler is really good. He's amazing. And they're both 20th, top 20 in offense, defense, or defense Ken Palm. So Vanderbilt, as of now, is the second best team in the SEC. I mean, I'm shocked at actually saying this, especially at this
Yeah,
time of
it's
year,
kind of
that
a weird
Vanderbilt
thing,
is
man.
one of the best teams in college basketball. But here we are. So moving on to my second 4 seed, I'm gonna have to say Nebraska. I'm not gonna lie, Nebraska is just falling off a cliff. They've lost all their big games lately. They've lost to Purdue. They've lost to Illinois. I think did they lose to Michigan State too? Not too long ago.
No,
Like
no, we beat Michigan State.
okay. Anyways, Nebraska is just it's just not the same team as what they were. They obviously started 20-0, but there's kind of a different vibe with Nebraska. Obviously, they're still top 10 in the AP poll, but their offense is kind of lackluster. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
it's
lie.
not good.
Their defense is elite. I love their defense, but you got to be good on both ends of the ball come March. So Nebraska, they're a solid team, but they got to have a couple of quad 1 wins for me to change my mind, which is actually good because they play Iowa twice, and I think Iowa's a
Yep.
quad 1 team. So there's that. Moving on, this is where it really gets interesting. This is where the magic starts. I'm gonna say St. John's. Now, St. John's, I didn't really like them at the beginning of the season. I'm not gonna lie. St. John's didn't really play anybody good, and when they played people out of conference, they kind of got their butts kicked. They lost to Alabama. They lost to Iowa State. They even lost to Auburn, which is embarrassing. Auburn is not a good team at all. But as of late, they beat UConn. They beat Xavier. I mean, this team is
Yeah.
probably the best in the Big East. They're the best in the Big East. End of discussion. They're better than UConn. They obviously beat UConn. So it's really interesting. I think they got players suspended from that fight against Providence. I'm not quite sure. So they're going to be out a couple games. that was
Yeah.
insane, bro. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. That was
Yeah.
hilarious. But they're like 30th in Ken Palm, I think. No, actually, they're like 25. So 17 is a fair spot for them. 17 is a fair spot for them on the AP poll. 4 seed is also very fair for them, in my opinion. And so that leaves me with my last 4 seed. And I know you don't like this team, but I'm still riding with this team. It's Arkansas. I think Arkansas, obviously they lost to Kentucky, but they've won their last 3 games in a row. Granted, they've played like the bottom of the SEC. They played some really bad opponents. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
LSU, Mississippi State, those teams are terrible. But Auburn is, I think, like a quad. Is that like a quad 1-1? I might be a quad 1-1. Anyways, they've won. How many have they won? They've won their last 6 out of 7 games. Like they're still really good. They got Darius Cuff, who's one of the best players in college basketball. He's going to be like a top 10 pick. Darius Cuff is really good. As far as Ken Palm, I think they're around 20th. I'm not quite sure. Their defense is really bad. It's disgusting. Their offense is like 5 in the country, I think. So Arkansas, good team. It's they're really weird in my opinion. Like they've been really good, but they played scrubs basically. So there's that. So that's all I got.
Okay. 4 seeds. My number one 4 seed is gonna go to Gonzaga. Jonah, you had him at a 3, right?
Yeah, I had them at a 3.
Yeah, I don't trust Gonzaga at all. I they could surprise me. I mean, they've been taking care of their opponents, but their opponents are not very good. And they lost to Portland, which is obviously embarrassing. You never want to do that.
It's like a quad four,
So
bro. That's
yeah, it's a
pathetic.
it's a terrible loss. But they still have the wins. So they're still what 20 something and 25-2, which is still a really good record. But I think they could be uh, leaving the March Madness tournament a little bit earlier than they would have hoped to this year. That's
Yeah.
just a guess for me. Now my next 4 is gonna go to Vanderbilt. Like you said, Jonah, they're the second best team in the SEC right now, and they just continue to win games. Also, they're just another one of those under the radar teams. Like the news
Yeah, I
isn't
agree
talking about them
100%.
right now, man. Their news isn't talking about them. They took care of Texas A&M, who like I think it was the last time we did this. They were like Texas A&M was number one in the SEC, and now the SEC they dropped completely. Like they've dropped like 5 spots.
Yeah, they ain't even gonna make
So
the tournament.
yeah, they're winning games right now. So uh, I'll give them that. So my next 4 is going to go to St. John's. I really like what they're doing over there. They're yeah, top 2 in the Big East. They beat UConn. I like their chances come March to make a run potentially. They got one of the best coaches in the game. So I really like I'm pretty high on St. John's. I was high on them last year. But yeah. So my next 4 seed, my last 4 seed, is going to be Michigan State. Now, Michigan State obviously has been trending down as of recently. They got shellacked by Wisconsin this weekend, but I think Wisconsin's a really good team. But obviously, they're falling off. They don't have the most favorable schedule in the world coming up. They have a game against UCLA, Ohio State, Purdue. Those are their next 3. Ohio State's one of those weird sneaky teams. Uh, UCLA's pulled off a couple upsets this season, I believe, and then uh, they have to play at Michigan the last game of the season. So I don't think they're going to win that game. I think Michigan State is definitely going to be trending down towards tournament time, and I'm not really high on them. So I expect them to drop even lower the next time or in our next video that we do bracketology.
Yeah. All right. 5 seeds. This is where I actually might go off the poll already. I'm not gonna lie, which is insane because
Yeah,
like there's still like 9 teams that we or like 10 teams that we haven't discussed yet on the poll. So to kick it off, I'm picking Wisconsin. Wisconsin is like the only
as a
team to beat.
5. Okay.
Wisconsin's like the only team to beat 3 top 10 teams. They played up to their competition and they've exceeded it. Like they're obviously in the top 25 now. This team honestly isn't even underrated at this point anymore. They're really not. They're just
Yeah, there is a good team.
they're just a good team. Everybody thought at the beginning of the year that beat Michigan was maybe a fluke. I don't think it is anymore. I think they should be taken seriously. So Wisconsin, I don't know if they have championship aspirations. Probably not, but Elite Eight,
They could pull off
Elite
some
Eight maybe.
upsets, man.
Final Four might be the ceiling for them, but Elite Eight, I could see them making the Elite Eight. So, and so that brings me to another team that is barely on the poll, and that is Alabama. Now, Alabama has been on a roll lately, but similar to who was I talking about earlier? Arkansas. Similar to Arkansas, Alabama has played scrubs. They won their
Yeah.
past 4, but South Carolina is like the worst team in college basketball. One of them, at least. Ole Miss. really bad. Auburn is Auburn. So, I mean, their only loss, within the past 2 3 weeks, is Florida, which, as we know, Florida is the best team in the SEC, and Alabama is a really good offensive team. They're just really good offensively. Their defense has been improving. It's been all right, but I think they've been trending up. They've been proven to me that they can win games consistently, and they play Arkansas. Is that today? No, it's tomorrow. Which we got a lot of good games tomorrow, man.
Yeah, this
So
this week is this week's got some really good games.
that is going to be Alabama and Arkansas is going to be one of the low key biggest games for seeding, in my opinion, at least,
Yeah.
because two teams fighting to stay on the pole practically. So Alabama is a 5 seed, in my opinion, and so that leaves me to my fifth for third seed, which is Michigan State. Michigan State, we can both agree. I don't like Michigan State either.
Yeah,
They
man.
stink. They just do. Their offense is really bad. They can't have anybody shoot the three ball, which that's been their problem for the past 5 years. Like Jeremy Fears is a good defender. Cohen Carr is the most athletic player in college basketball, but my word, they can't play fundamental basketball, which is shooting the three in today's era. So Michigan State, I mean, has been blowing a lot of big games lately. Like you said, I expect them to keep dropping, but they still got the best coach in basketball. So I'm just gonna keep them as a 5, just because they got Tom Izzo, honestly, which
Yeah.
maybe kind of a stupid thing to say, but whatever. And so that brings me to my fifth 4 seed. Now, this is where I'm gonna really surprise you here, but I'm gonna say Utah State is a 5 seed. I really love Utah State, man.
Interesting.
They're like top 20 in Ken Palm, and this is the best season they've ever had in college basketball for their
Dude,
franchise.
yeah,
Utah State,
they're not even ranked, bro.
they're not even ranked.
I don't
Nobody's
yeah.
talking
What
about them.
in the world?
They're by far the best team in the Mountain West, but they have 45 votes on the AP poll. Let me pull up their Ken Palm just for
Yeah,
reference here.
they're technically ranked 27th,
They're ranked 27th, so
technically, if you're going based off of votes.
but they are 24 in Ken Palm. They have the 20 offense and a 4 defense. So I just love Utah State. They are definitely one of my favorites going into the tournament. So it may be a hot take to have Utah State higher than teams in the ACC like North Carolina, but I think they're a better team than North Carolina right now. So, which
Okay.
is really crazy to say, but
Okay. 5 seeds, right?
yep,
Fifth seed. Okay.
yep,
My top 5 seed is going to go to Alabama. They're
yep,
obviously just kind of a mid team. Like you said, they really haven't beaten anybody impressive. They got shellacked by Florida a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago, I guess, whatever you want to say. Um, but I really don't know what to expect from Bama because looking at their schedule, they have a big game against Arkansas on Wednesday, and then they have cupcake schedule the rest of the way. So I could easily see them finishing the season with one more loss and just winning out after this Arkansas game. But they're an interesting team to look at. I definitely think if they get seeded high, I definitely think they would be one of the teams to have on upset alert because you
yep.
just never really know what to get from them. So that's what I have from that. Now, my next 5 seed is going to go to Arkansas. Arkansas, I was really upset with them after they lost to Kentucky. I was really upset with them after that. But they've bounced back fantastically, man. I'm very hyped about that. Arkansas is probably, if I had another favorite college basketball team, it would probably be Arkansas or something like that because I just don't know. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing. I love Arkansas baseball, I guess. They're cool. That might be it. But I don't know. Arkansas is playing really well as of right now. They got the big game against Bama in 2 days. And then 2 weeks, in a couple weeks, they play at Florida. That'll be a really, really, really important game for them to see how legit they are. And then they have two cupcake games. So I'm not worried about Arkansas the rest of the regular season. That might come back to bite me terribly. But they have games against Missouri, Texas A&M, so you never know what you're going to get with that. But big game against Florida, that's what I want to see from them, and I want to see them win that game. My next 5 seed is going to go. I'm going to go the direction of the ACC and say Clemson. Clemson, they obviously lost to Duke.
Clemson over Virginia.
I have Virginia next.
Oh,
I have
okay.
Virginia next. Those are my two 5 seeds. But Clemson obviously had a rough loss against Duke. But they're still one of the better teams in the ACC. It's pretty much just Duke and then everyone else. And I'd say they're probably at them and Virginia and UNC are at the top of everyone else in the ACC. So then again, or yeah, ACC. So then I have Virginia. After them, they're playing well. What are they? Are they? Yeah, they're ranked 14 right now. They're also another really under the radar team. They beat Ohio State by 4 on Saturday. That's interesting. But they got cupcake games right now, pretty much. So I think until they play Duke on Saturday the 28th. So I think that'll be an interesting game for them. But other than that, Virginia is playing really well, and I think they're a team to look at. So
All right. All right. Moving on to 6 seeds. I haven't mentioned a single ACC team outside of Duke. So
I have
maybe
three ACC teams in my 6, bro.
maybe I'm a little bit biased. Maybe I'm not. But to start it off, we are going with BYU. BYU.
Oh,
That Colorado game was very scary. I'm not gonna lie. They almost dropped out of the poll. I was watching that game quite a bit actually. That was pretty embarrassing. But BYU doesn't have a great record, but they have AJ DeBonza. Like he's insane. They got
yeah, he's a stud.
Robert Wright, I think is his name. He is the most underrated player in college basketball. He had like 35 points against Colorado. Robert Wright is a name to look out for come tournament time, ladies and gentlemen. He is insane. So I don't know where they're at in KenPom. I'm assuming it's around 23 because they're ranked 23. So, but I mean, they've won their last 2 games in a row. Granted, Baylor and Colorado stink, but we're gonna see how
Those
good they
are
truly
those are
are.
way too close games, though. Those
Yeah,
are
but
way too close.
we're gonna see who they truly are. They play Arizona. They also play
I was,
another
dude.
ranked
That's
matchup
that's
tomorrow.
rough.
They play
That's rough.
Arizona and they play Iowa State on Saturday, and
That's
they play
crazy.
VCU. VCU is very underrated. I like VCU. I don't mind them. So Arizona and Iowa State, if they can split, I think they'll honestly jump up if they split. So if they split,
Yep, I think they will too.
that's fine. But we're gonna see what this team is made of without Richie Saunders out for the
Yeah,
year. So
man.
moving on to my second 6 seed. I don't know. I'm just gonna say that St. Louis is a 6 seed. St. Louis.
Okay.
I I'm not I just have something against these ACC teams, dude. I just hate them. Anyways, St. Louis, obviously a very undersized college basketball team. They're like the smallest team in college basketball, but I really like them. I really do. They they like beat everybody. They're running their conference in the MAC. They beat Dayton. They beat VCU, who are both very good teams. And this team is the best mid-major team in college basketball. So, not much needs to be said about St. Louis. They're projected a 7 seed actually in the tournament. So, it's a pretty fair ranking for me. But that brings me to my third, 6th seed. Now, I'm going to say it's Virginia, the second best team in the ACC. Virginia had a very close game to Ohio State, which kind of
Yeah.
shows me that they're not great, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
They don't really excel at anything. The only thing they excel at is experience. I'm not going to lie. But they only have 3 losses. But they lost to Virginia Tech, which Virginia Tech, I might have to mention them coming up here. Virginia Tech is very underrated, but Virginia, let's take a look at their schedule here. They lost to Butler. They lost to
Yikes.
Butler. They lost to
Major
Virginia Tech.
yikes.
And they lost to UNC. So those 3 losses aren't good losses at all. They're really bad losses. And the Ohio State game was far too close for comfort. And
Yeah.
I don't know why they're playing Ohio State this time of the year. That is super weird.
It's just random.
Anyways, Virginia is my best team in the ACC strictly due to record, which might be a little bit of bias, but Virginia is all right. Nothing too fancy here. And that brings me to my 4th, 6th seed. And I'm going to go ahead and say Villanova, actually. Villanova, they're a really interesting team, man. They played kind of a soft schedule in the Big East, but they've been really good. They're very underrated, in my opinion. Let me see who Virginia has beaten or Villanova has beaten. Let's see who they play. Obviously, I think they lost to UConn, but that game was very close. Villanova, let's see. Big East. Okay. So they lost to St. John's by like 7 points. It's a fine loss. And they lost to UConn by 8 points. So both of those games that they played in the Big East were very competitive, and they've been rolling the Big East otherwise. So Villanova, really good. I mean, you got to give credit to the Big East, man, because the Big East, even though it's a
Yeah.
mid-major, it's still one of the better conferences in
Yeah, I
basketball.
agree.
So Villanova is up there. They keep climbing, so that's that.
Yeah. Okay, my 6th seed, my top 6 seed is going to go to North Carolina. I'm still liking that Duke win, man. They showed some fight there. Even though they did they drop from the rankings? No, they didn't. Nope, they're 16. Yeah, I'm still kind of liking North Carolina. Obviously, I mean they lost to Miami last week, but Miami is one of those really under the radar teams. They're
Yeah,
20 and
yeah.
5, which they're a team that has not been talked about enough. I have them actually projected in a couple rounds here, but obviously big game against NC State tomorrow. They're a really underrated team. I have them later. And they got Louisville, who I know Jonah doesn't really like, but I think they're fine.
Yeah.
And then they have Clemson, and then they have Duke. So they kind of have a difficult end of the year stretch here. So I think we're going to find out a lot about this Tar Heel team in the next couple of weeks. Now, my next 6th seed is going to go to Villanova. I agree with you on that, man. They're underrated team. They're playing well. Are they ranked? No, no, they're not. Probably
They're
should be.
28. They're 28.
Yeah, yep. Probably should, but they're in a weird conference, but they're beating the teams that they're supposed to. So I'll give them props for that. Now my next 6th seed is gonna be Louisville. Actually, uh, they're they're kind of trending down for me though right now. They I don't think they're gonna do very well to end this season off. They have UNC
They haven't beaten a ranked
and
team yet this
Clemson,
year.
yeah, and Miami. So they got shellacked by Duke both times. But I think they're just there right now. But I expect them to definitely trend down to be a 9 or a 10 seed potentially, because I don't know how well they're going to be able to fare in the ACC tournament, especially if they have to play a good team early on in the tournament. So now my next team is also an ACC team. I had 3 ACC teams for 6 seeds. So I have North Carolina State. They're also trending down for me just because the ACC is just really not that good. But they still have a pretty decent record, I think. But yeah, I really don't have anything to
Yeah.
say about NC State. They just kind of have they just beat the teams they're supposed to and then lose to everyone
Yeah.
else. So
Agree. All right, moving on to my 7 seeds. Now, this may be one of the hottest takes I have all year. I'm not gonna lie. So
okay, let's go.
for my first 7 seed, It's going to be all ACC. Spoiler alert. I have four
Okay.
ACC teams. So
Wow. Okay. Okay.
my first 7 seed is going to be Miami. Miami is better than North
Okay.
Carolina. You heard it here first. They beat North Carolina. They beat NC State. This team is probably the second most underrated team in college basketball, behind TCU. Miami is led by Trey Donaldson, who was the clutchest player at Michigan last year. If I don't know if you guys remember that, but that layup
Yeah.
with like 3 seconds
Yep. Yep. Yep.
was insane. Miami is going to be a team to look out for in the tournament. They've proven that they're in the same conversation as the second tier of ACC teams behind North Carolina and Virginia. So Miami, really good. I love them. So they've won their last 3 games in a row. Who do they play? They play Virginia Tech. Is that today? What is it? The 17th? No, they
It's
play them
this
tomorrow. They
tomorrow.
play they
Yeah.
play Virginia Tech tomorrow and Virginia. So those are 2 teams that are very, very good. I also like Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has beaten these ranked teams in the ACC as well. So I might have to mention them coming up here. So moving on to my second 7th seed. This is the biggest fall I think I've had. I had North Carolina as like a 4 seed. They're a 7th seed. North Carolina, they beat Duke, but like, I mean, rivalry games always go 50-50.
Yep.
I don't really give them bonus points for beating Duke because any rival can beat another rival just because of how connected each team is and how close rivalry games are. But they obviously lost Caleb Wilson. He'll be back come tournament time. So that's that. And
Yeah.
North Carolina lost to Miami. Let me pull up their schedule. Lost to Miami, which not good. They beat Pitt, which Pitt is a really bad team. Pitt's really bad. So North Carolina, strictly due to they lost one of the best players in the country, strictly to they lost to Miami, which they should have beat them by a lot. They're jumping down a lot. And I think they'll continue to jump down a lot come tournament time, unless somebody like Seth Tribble steps up. I think Seth Tribble has got to step up if they want any success going forward. And they play NC State, which
That's an important game right there, dude.
these every single these games on Tuesday and Wednesday, we might have to redo this on Thursday. I'm not even kidding you, which might be insane, but these games are probably the biggest games of the year coming up. So
Yeah.
North Carolina is the 7th seed. So that brings me to my third 7th seed, which I mean Louisville or Clemson. I don't freaking know. Both these teams kind of stink, but I'm going to say Clemson due to the fact that they lost to Virginia Tech, I think, but they're just kind of there, man. They've they've dropped the rankings quite drastically, in my opinion. But they're 20-6, decent enough record. But they lost to Georgetown, which is wow.
Yikes.
That's really bad. They obviously lost to NC State. They lost to Duke. They've lost their last 2 games in a row to Virginia Tech and Duke. And so every single team, halfway decent team in the ACC, Clemson has played. They've lost, but whatever. I'll keep Clemson as the 7th seed. They're okay. And so that brings me to my fourth 7th seed. I'm gonna go ahead and say Louisville. Louisville. I don't know why they're on the poll. Every ranked game they lose. Like they don't have their quad one wins has got to be like 2-10. They've played a lot of quad one teams. They lost a lot of quad one games, and I'm just keeping them as a 7th seed strictly because they're on the poll. And I don't know how they're on the poll, but mainly because they were really good
Yeah.
last year and they were competing with Duke till the end. But Louisville is just not a good team, man. So, and I mean, they'll obviously make the tournament, but they're a 7th seed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, my top 7 seed is gonna go to Wisconsin Badgers. I hate Wisconsin with a passion, but I gotta give them
Really, I
props.
had them as a 5 seed, dude. Holy
I
frick!
know, I know, I know. They I they're just they're an unpredictable team to me right now because you see they beat all these good teams and then they lose to a really bad team in Indiana. I don't know why
That's fair.
Indiana's getting
That's
credit.
fair.
They're not a good team. I'm sorry. They're just not. They lose to Indiana in overtime. They blew a lead, I'm pretty sure, in that game. So, really like what they're doing. They're just a little unpredictable for me. But if they can have a really good Big Ten tournament, I expect a lot out of them. They do have a very favorable schedule to end off the season, and they end the year against or at Purdue, I think. So that'll be a really important game for them. But I think they'll probably win out before um, Purdue, but they're just a really unpredictable team for me right now. My next, I have three mid majors in a row. Uh, I
Really?
have I have Utah State next as my my second 7 seed. They're balling. It's a crime that they're not ranked. They should be ranked. So there's that. My next 7 seed is going to go to Miami, Ohio. Only undefeated team left in the country. They've earned my respect. And I think that they need to be seated higher than most people think. I don't know. I just have them being high as a 7 seed. And then my next 7 seed, I know, Jonah, I think you had them at a 6 or a 5, but I have St. Louis. Obviously, they've only lost one game, but they're really not extremely tested. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Those are my 7 seeds.
Yeah. To be fair of St. Louis, though, they play in one of the more tougher mid-major conferences. They
Yeah,
beat VCU, they beat Dayton, but you still know where to rank mid-majors. So
yeah.
moving on to my 8 seeds. Um, this is where borderline bubble teams. I don't know, but to start it off, we will start with Kentucky. Kentucky, I don't know where to start with Kentucky, man. They've been up and down. They keep dropping. They keep climbing the pole. They got to be like the most inconsistent team in college basketball. So they're ranked like 34th in Ken Palm, but they're ranked 30th on the poll, I think. So Kentucky is a solid team. I don't know what we're going to get from Kentucky in the tournament. Kentucky
Yeah,
is known
they're really
to
unpredictable.
blow really big games in the
Yeah.
tournament.
Yep.
So Kentucky, I would not be shocked if they lose their first round game.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Completely agree.
they also have a really good track record. Not recently, but overall in
Yeah.
their history. So Kentucky, they let me. I got to pull up their schedule, dude, because like I don't
They have a very fascinating schedule.
Kentucky. Let's see, Kentucky. Who have they played? They lost to Florida, but they beat Tennessee. They played Georgia and Auburn, which are two bubble teams in my opinion. So important games for
Yeah.
Kentucky. Kentucky isn't on the bubble necessarily, but
Yeah, but you look at the teams that they have left, like they have
yeah,
um,
Texas
Vanderbilt
A&M,
and
Florida.
Florida and TAM. So those are really important games for them. Yeah.
So Kentucky, we're going to see how good Kentucky is. So that's
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
And so my second 8 seed, I have the Tennessee Volunteers. I think that's how you
Volunteers?
volunteers. I don't know. I don't know what a volunteer is, but
It's like a dog,
Tennessee,
bro.
Tennessee, similar to Louisville, has lost every single big game they've played.
Yeah.
Like they're just the king of blowing big games this year. They're probably the biggest fall off I've seen in college basketball. They were a 2 seed last year. They're now projected to be like a 7 or an 8 seed. Tennessee, I mean, they're obviously have a really good track record in basketball, but similar to Kentucky, they blow big games. That's all. That's what they know how to
Yep.
do. So
Yep.
Tennessee has done really bad against ranked teams, quad one this year, but they play in the SEC, so they're getting a little bit of a boost there. So I don't know where they're at in Ken Palm. I'm not going to even check because Tennessee is just a boring team in my opinion. But so
Yeah.
leaves me to my third, 8 seed, and I'm gonna have to say Miami, Ohio is my third, eighth seed. They're ranked like probably a 10 in the tournament, I think. But Miami, Ohio haven't lost the game yet, but these games just keep on getting closer and closer and closer to losses. They've just been
Yep.
barely squeaking by, and the conference that they play in, which I don't know what it is. I think it's the is it the MAC that they play in? It might be. Anyways, is one of the
Miami.
worst. Yeah, Miami, Ohio.
Yeah, yeah, they play in the MAC.
It's the MAC is one of the worst conferences in college or in sports period for D1. It's just not good. So Miami, even though they haven't lost the game, they just keep on barely get squeaking by. So I have to keep on dropping them barely because of that. So it leaves me to my last and final eighth seed of the video. Last team that'll get mentioned here, and I gotta go with Virginia Tech. Now, Virginia Tech, I don't know if they'll make the tournament or not, but they definitely deserve to. Virginia Tech has beaten Clemson. They've beaten North Carolina. Like, they've exceeded expectations as underdogs. And when they play underdogs, they're really good. When they play similar teams, they don't really exceed in that. So Virginia Tech is a really good team, or underrated team, I should say. And they're kind of a sleeper team, in my opinion. If you want to put Virginia Tech, Miami, and TCU as the biggest sleepers of this tournament, I think those are the teams you should pick.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
TCU is an honorable mention. So
yeah. Okay, my number 1 8 seed is gonna go to Kentucky, same as you. They're just a weird team. I mean, they'll win you a really good game, but then they'll just lose to the worst team in the
yeah,
SEC.
exactly,
So I
exactly.
don't know what I'm gonna get from them. I could easily see them losing in the first round, but then potentially they could make an Elite Eight run. I don't know. They're just unpredictable, and I think an 8 seed is good for them because then if they get an 8 seed, then they'll beat. If they beat the 9, then they'll get the 1 seed most likely. So
That's a
then
really
we'll
tough
then
matchup for a one versus
yeah,
Kentucky.
yeah.
That's
Then we'll truly get to see what Kentucky
yeah,
is made of. My next 8 seed is going to go to Tennessee. Like Jonas said, just a really boring team. Haven't beaten anyone, and they're just mid. Now my third 8 seed is kind of interesting because I don't know if Jonah's going to like this one or not, but I have Miami Hurricanes. Now I know you had them up a lot higher
mm,
up, but I look through their entire schedule and they only have one ranked win, and it was against North Carolina. They lost to Clemson. They lost to Florida State. Uh, they who else did they lose to? They lost in November quite a bit.
yeah,
They lost to Florida. They lost to BYU. Uh, their only good win is against North Carolina. So
yeah,
and they just barely beat NC State, who's not a terrible team, but at the end of the day, they're just kind of mid. I don't know what to expect from Miami right now. I do think they're underrated, but I need to see a little bit more. Need to see a couple better wins from them. They have a big game against Virginia in a couple weeks, so I'd like to see. Oh no, in a couple days actually. So I'd like to see them do something there. And then my last 8 seed is going to go to St. Mary's, just because of the fact they're the second best team in their conference every year. They're always an 8 seed, so I think that that's probably where they're going to land again.
yeah. All right. Do you want to look over the projected bracket here? Might as well.
Yeah, may as well. Yeah,
All right.
I the one team I didn't mention though was BYU. I
Whoa, whoa. You
Yep.
didn't mention.
Nope, I didn't mention BYU.
Wow,
Yep.
that's I didn't even think about that. That is insane.
Yeah, I do not like BYU right now at all.
Wow.
I think BYU could definitely drop to it. I have them. I would probably have them as a
Yeah.
9 seed right now. I just don't like what they're doing.
I mean, understandable, but I mean, they have one of the best players in the country, so
Yeah,
projected
I just don't trust them right now.
March
I
Madness.
mean, the projected bracket right now is awesome. I mean, there's a lot of good potential
We
games
got
here.
a
Like,
bracketology tournament predictions.
yeah,
Okay, so
Villanova versus St. Mary's in the first round projected.
that's good. All right, so
Nebraska versus North Dakota State.
whoa.
That would be I would be scared, bro, if we had to play NDSU first round.
All right, so the first four, the last four teams, and I think Missouri, San Diego State, Georgia, and TCU.
TCU is the first team out projected
What? Wow.
on ESPN. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. I'm
Very
on CBS.
interesting.
I'm on CBS right
Okay,
now. So,
okay,
oh, do you want me to pull up the ESPN one? We can do ESPN one.
okay.
ESPN projected.
Miami versus Utah State first round. Oh my goodness. BYU versus Texas. That could be upset alert.
Yeah, I'm looking at Joe Lunardi's.
Joe
Joe
Lenardi.
Lunardi's.
Yeah, I'm looking at that
Yeah.
one. Yep, I'm looking at that one too.
Where's the actual? Where's the actual bracket part, bro? Is there not a bracket on here?
I just have projected matchups first round.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna stick to CBS for now. So let's see. Miami versus Texas. That's
That
gonna
would
be
be that would be
that's gonna be
interesting.
insane. You got NC State versus Indiana. That'll be interesting. Arkansas versus Liberty. Ooh, that's I don't know. That's gonna be a very weird game. Nebraska
Iowa
is project.
State, Iowa State versus Harvard.
Freaking god,
Harvard is nice, aren't they?
they're not
No, they're
bad, but
not.
they're very
No, 13
undersized.
and 9. 13 and 9?
Oh,
How are they projected to go to March Madness if they're 13 and 9?
I don't know.
That's
But
trash.
Nebraska is projected to be in the East with Duke at the moment, so
Oh god.
they would be in the same subsection as Tennessee and Miami, Ohio. So they play the winner of
Yikes.
that game because they'd probably beat
Yep.
UC Irvine. I'd hope you'd beat UC Irvine,
I'd
but
certainly hope so.
SMU versus Iowa. Now that's
ESP,
gonna be
ESPN has Iowa versus Texas A&M.
okay. Clemson versus
No
Auburn.
way.
What? What?
ESPN has Gonzaga versus Portland State.
Oh, okay.
Rematch
Whoa,
action in Portland. They're projected to play in Portland too.
dude, that
That
would
would be
be
legendary, dude. And then the winner would play Arkansas or SF
can't.
Austin.
They say on CBS Kansas is North Dakota State. Kansas versus North Dakota State.
Oh, that would be
That would be.
interesting. Wisconsin versus SMU.
Ooh, that's
Villanova versus St. Mary's. Tennessee versus Miami, Ohio.
well.
They all I know, bro. I think this is going to be a great March Madness, bro. I think there's going to be a lot of
I
good
can.
games.
Yeah,
It's the
it's
field
got to
is
be
so
some.
open this year.
There's gonna be more upsets. That's for sure
There
because there's
has to
none
be.
last
There
year.
has to be.
So I feel like let's just discuss the bubble teams real quick, and then we can end the video because this has been like an hour already.
Yeah,
So
we've been going an hour. Yeah.
Ohio State is on the bubble. Ohio State. You want to give an analysis on Ohio State because
Yeah, I'll
I
give
don't really.
Ohio
Okay.
State. They're not a terrible team at all. I think they're a solid team. They gave Nebraska. They almost beat Nebraska. They played close with Michigan there for a little while. In the first half, they just can't close games. But I think if they have a pretty solid Big Ten tournament, which they're always iffy on that one, but I definitely think that they could definitely have a chance
Yeah.
to make it for
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Moving on. Our next one in the first four out is VCU. That's
I know
VCU
nothing
is
about
very
VCU, bro.
VCU is very interesting. They obviously lost to St. Louis, but they're one of the best teams in that mid major conference. Them, Dayton, and St. Louis, and that's a really competitive conference. So
Yeah.
VCU, they're 20-6, which is insane. That's a really good record to be outside of the bubble, not inside. So New
Yeah.
Mexico State or New Mexico, they're always like this, bro. I
Yeah,
don't know
they're
why,
always
but
like right there. They're always in the bubble.
every time every time I look at bracketology, I just see New Mexico on the bubble or outside the
Yeah.
bubble. Like this team, that team, I don't know, bro. They're always a 50-50 to make the tournament every year. So
Yeah.
that's just super weird. And so the last team I want to discuss is TCU. TCU,
TCU.
is projected in on CBS or projected out
Yeah, they're the
on
first
ESPN.
team out. Yep.
CBS or TCU is truly a 50-50 at this point. Let's pull up their schedule in
Yeah, what is
KenPom
their
here
schedule
because
looking like right here?
TCU schedule.
Here, I'll look them up too. I want to see this.
Seriously, bro, you give me their football schedule. Freaking guy.
Dude,
Nobody wants to
they were
watch
low key
TCU
nice this
football.
year in football, bro.
I
They were
mean,
kind of nice. They were
I
kind of
guess their
nice.
highlight was beating NC State or not NC State, North Carolina in week 1. But
Yeah, they beat USC in the their bowl game too.
so
Um,
TCU, they beat
they have
Iowa
a
State.
very favorable schedule,
They
except for
played
Texas Tech,
they played Kansas in overtime and they beat Florida. TCU beat Florida, so
and they beat Iowa State. So,
but they lost to New Orleans, which is like a quad
oh
5 team.
god, when did
They
they
lost
lose to them?
week 1, the first game they played. They lost to New Orleans.
Oh
Look.
god, that's disgusting. They were down 44-28 at halftime.
I gotta
Oh
hold on.
no,
I gotta look at Ken
that's disgusting.
rankings.
44-28 at half was the biggest they trailed by.
I gotta
They
look at
trailed by
TCU's KenPom.
21. Trailed by 21 and lost by 4 to New Orleans,
How can a
bro.
team
What
beat
in the
Florida
world?
but lose to New Orleans? Like that's so
And
odd.
Iowa State.
Freaking guy. TCU. Let's see where they're at on the poll or on KenPom.
Where are they in the
50,
Big 12?
50 in KenPom. That's not ideal. They have the 100th offense. Oh god, this might be the most interesting team in college basketball. Not gonna lie.
They're
So
ninth best team in the Big 12 record wise. They're
that's not
six and
bad.
six in conference. So
That's
they're probably
that's
gonna get like a Cincinnati or something in the first round, and then have to go play like Kansas or Iowa State in the first round or second
they can't.
round.
Yeah, you
Or do
can't
they
do
have
that.
double buys in the Big 12? I don't know. I don't even know.
But I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm all good here too.
So we're gonna start making. This is just the beginning of college basketball
Yeah,
content.
man.
I was thinking we could do a sleepers video of dark horses to talk about
Yeah,
in the
I
foreseeable
completely agree with
future.
that.
We're gonna do one of our favorites on the channel, which is contenders and pretenders, because
Oh yes, that's the
that's
best.
that's just the best to do in every single category of
Yeah,
sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, or football. Those are some of our most iconic videos, and
yeah,
then we are going to predict every single game in March Madness
yeah.
coming
We
up.
are.
So,
Yeah, we're gonna have to find a way. I'm gonna be on a road trip. We're gonna make it happen.
yeah,
We're gonna make it happen.
but so we're gonna probably be doing like 5 separate videos, one on the first
Yeah,
round or one on the first 4, and then one on each
yeah.
region. So the content is just getting started. That's all
Oh
I gotta
yeah.
say.
Oh
So,
yeah. So I'm going to Arizona this week.
yep,
Should we do a dark horse video while I'm in the hotel?
might as
Dark
well.
horse.
I mean,
Okay,
might as well.
sounds
All right,
good.
but with that, probably gonna end this video here. This video's been super long. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get some more content out this week. Let us know what you guys want. But yeah, probably no video tomorrow. I don't know. Obviously, actually, no video guaranteed tomorrow. Jack is going to be
Yeah,
traveling,
I'll be
so
flying.
but we'll be back on like Thursday or Friday, something like that.
Yeah, we'll
So
see.
we'll see you boys then. Until then, peace out.